I love this question too. Which of these players are more important for their team's success next season? So we got, this is Red Wings, Pistons, and Lions.
Okay.
Patrick Kane, Jaden Ivey, or Jameson Williams. Which of these three is most important for their team's success next season? Caleb, I'll go to you first.
Well, an interesting one here is Jaden Ivey. I don't know if he's necessarily important for the team's success, but it's important for us to see that he can develop as a player. So I don't know how much games he will win for the Pistons, but we do need to see development and progression out of Jaden Ivey. But right here, look, I'm not that much of a hockey guy. I know Patrick Kane, it has to be important for the Red Wings this series. There's a young team. He's the veteran on the squad. Came back on a one-year deal. He thinks we're going to compete. But I think I'm going to go Jamo here. Jamo just adds another element to this offense that we really haven't had, under the Ben Johnson era. Khalif Raymond showed flashes of it that he was able to stretch the field, but Jamo is like Khalif Raymond on steroids when it comes to, stretching the field. Goff being able to hit him on the 30, 40-yard passes is going to be very important. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go Jamo with this one. And his connection with Jared Goff, if it takes off, that's very, very, very dangerous for the NFL.
Yeah, I like that answer. To me, the answer is simply Patrick Kane, and that's because it's in his contract. Like, it is in his contract for the team to have success. That shows how important he is to the team. Patrick Kane, I mean, we know Lucas Raymond emerged as a star at the end of the season. He was fantastic down the stretch. We know Kane had some moments. He was great during the start of the year and throughout the middle of the year, but kind of tailed off a little bit at the end. Still had moments though, including the last goal of the season, I believe. So he is vital though. He is the guy that makes things hum, especially without Larkin. He is that engine. He is that playmaker that the Red Wings need, because Lucas Raymond is an excellent goal scorer, but he also needs guys like Patrick Kane to make those passes and make those plays. So I think he is absolutely essential to the Red Wings, who, let's face it, they haven't made a big move. So they are rolling in with a lot of the same guys coming into next season. With that being said, that means that there's more pressure on Patrick Kane, I think, to be an important part of success, because if the Red Wings were going to make the playoffs last year, it was going to be because Patrick Kane was who he was last year. So one of the only reasons this team had a shot at the playoffs last year was Patrick Kane. So if you have the same roster, by definition, same expectations. Easy. Where are you at?
Hold on. He just said the same roster as last year, and that's just not true. And I'm sorry, I gotta educate Chris a little bit, because this is not the same roster. This team is upgrading from David Perron to Vladimir Tarasenko, someone who can be a point-per-game player where Perron lacks. He's a more skilled player. He plays better with Patrick Kane. Your lines are deeper. He's just as physical as Perron. Your defense, your goaltending got better. That is the biggest thing. Your goaltending got better.
Your goaltending did get better.
And that's where you can't say that it's the same team, because goaltending can win you games easily. This team is just from the goaltending is 3 to 4 games better than they were last year. The one thing is you're going to be looking at a couple unproven guys in your decor, as you're going to have Edmondson in there who played in the NHL and proved that he could play, but you're also going to see Johansson and some other guys from Grand Rapids come up here. But you are right with the Kane. You are going to need Kane. You need a point per game from him. You need him to play at least 70 games. You need to get as much out of him as you can. He is that secondary scorer behind Raymond and Larkin. I think that he is integral, but I don't think he is as integral as Jamo will be. Jamo will define whether this could be the defining factor on whether this team can win a Super Bowl or not. The difference between this offense being a top 3 offense and a top 1 offense.
Yeah, I listen, and I'm glad you corrected me on that, because I knew of some of the upgrades, but I was mainly focused on like the offensive side of it and and obviously what Kane will do there. But you're absolutely right about the goaltending and all the upgrades that they made, but they were also flirting with getting like a superstar. Like, that was word around town, was that, hey, this is a year Yzerman's going crazy. And the fact that while they did upgrade the roster, and these will be meaningful upgrades, they didn't necessarily translate to a blockbuster type of.
But there
move.
wasn't a blockbuster move that truly makes sense in the window. Like, I mean, we talk.
Yeah,
about
I'm not knocking them for it. I'm just.
I know,
yeah.
but I'm just telling you, like, the optics of it, like, there wasn't one that he even could have made. Like, he wasn't gonna sign Stamkos for the overpay, where that contract's only good for 2 years, and then Stamkos is gonna take a dive, and it's gonna be one of the worst contracts in pro sports. He really just maximized how he could, because he knows what is down in Grand Rapids. We have the number 2 farm system in the NHL for a reason. That's even before this draft, that we honestly made some great draft picks. MBN looks like a way better prospect than initially thought. He improved everyone at the dev camp. So I just think that I don't know. I think that he did the right move by not making the splash move and just improving the roster.
I think the blockbuster is still cooking up. Like, there's still cap space in this team right now.
Yeah,
I don't know how many roster spots are open. It's speculation of when it will happen. I think it's kind of similar to what I've been saying with the Matt Judon situation. If he becomes a Detroit Lion, I expect it to happen a little bit closer to the deadline versus the beginning of the season. Just so you can ride out the season, make sure he's healthy when he gets to that point. Because what happens, you give up assets for him and he gets hurt the very next game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think Stevie kind of operates in that same way, where he's very frugal. He's very mindful of when he's going to add these guys and how much he's like paying these guys. So I think that blockbuster still may come. It's just going to come during the season.
Okay.
You hit it on the head, because you're right. They do have excess cap space even after they sign Raymond and Sider to their RFA deals. So I think he's going to leave some little wiggle room where he has an extra $2 million on the books that he can use in the trade at deadline to acquire someone who really is a splash, where you can get someone who's a little worth of less money. But $2 million in the NHL, like, this is in the NBA. That is a ton of money to have in the gun to be able to use to make an acquisition.
However, it pertains to this question. There was a different Lions player on this list earlier, and that was going to be my answer. My answer with this one, though, between Patrick Kane, Jaden Ivey, and JMO, is still Patrick Kane. Honestly, 50 games played last year for Patrick Kane, 47 points. I think he's 1 point away from being fifth in his team in points with like 20 less games than JT Comper. You have the experience between DeBrincat, and now Tarasenko. Didn't they win a cup together?
No, they didn't win a cup together, but they went deep in the playoffs when they played on the Rangers together.
I think that's like the PC grad were guys that were already kind of like at least around Patrick Kane. I know he's older. I know he's not the version of himself he used to be. I know he doesn't play much defense and not, but like, you have a guy that's done or won at the highest level at this game. He's arguably the best American hockey player to ever touch skates.
He is, until Austin Matthews truly surpasses him.
So to have people surrounding him or that have been with him in his prime to help him with that veteran leadership on a team that's already kind of on the cusp of making a playoff, I think Patrick Kane is the most important one. Him staying healthy. You look at the shootouts last year, all the game-winning goals he had last year. Like, Patrick Kane's big time for this Red Wings team that's on the fringe of making the playoffs. I love JMO. I think we all have high expectations for Jameson Williams. I think we know what he could be, at least what we thought he could be. But this Detroit Lions team has been everything they were with little JMO input. Yeah. So I think this Detroit Lions team can continue to rank top 3. I think the offense continue to be top 5. Whatever number you want to put on it, Detroit Lions offense can attain that, especially with Ben Johnson and this offensive line. There's plenty of weapons to go around. They're still going to be fine, whether JMO performs or not. The Red Wings...
with the loss of Reynolds, though?
Even with the loss of Reynolds, yes.
You still think?
Yes, because we were expecting jumps from guys like Sam Laporta. We're expecting jumps from guys like Jameer Gibbs. Like, if they're truly taking Jameer Gibbs, the guy that... And listen, this is not even like a Detroit... Rich Eisen, nationally syndicated, had Jameer Gibbs as the second best running back heading into 2024. It's not just us here in the station glazing because we're Detroit Lions fans. Like, no, the expectation for Jameer Gibbs is high. And I've been saying this since last year. I think top 5 guy.
But I think much like how Steph Curry changes the gravity of NBA defense, JMO, I think, does that for the defense.
He can for sure
of football. Like, just specifically this Lions roster. You talk about the offense, it eats through the middle. It eats through Amon-Ra. It eats through Sam Laporta, and that's, of course, that's going to be their main game. But adding that speedster that JMO is, that's why I could see the argument for JMO, just because of how he changes how defenses will have to play. But ultimately, I do think it's Kane. Joel, where are you at with it? Who would you Who would
I
you
was
choose
gonna-
as the most important?
I would say, so you saying most important to team success?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have to say most important to team success. I would actually have to go a little bit different than everybody, and I'm gonna have to say it's gonna have to probably be Jaden Ivey, for the simple fact that one, basketball is hockey is two, where it's only 5 people out there, but basketball is less interchanging. So it's gonna be the team. I said it. We have made improvements, but the improvements we've really made, like if we be honest with ourselves as fans, we probably are still gonna be in that same like range of talent. Like we probably do get closer to like 25, 30 wins now, but we probably will still be lower tier, bottom tier of the league. But if Ivy can be a player that can like get to the potential where we think he's at, especially if he's like coming off the bench, like how a lot of people think he will be, if he's able to play off a high level off the bench, he could actually be the reason that we probably may be looking at possibly fighting for like a play-in spot if he's able to come off the bench and play up to the level that a lot of people, especially like Stick, thinks that he is a player of his caliber.
For me, I think the answer, because obviously, look, the Pistons have the lowest expectations of all of these teams. So I don't really, truthfully, I love all 3 of these teams, but my care factor, I have much less stock in the Pistons next season than I do the Red Wings and the Lions, because obviously they have chances to do something. But I think it would have been very tough if you would have made it Jalen Duren, because I've said this before, Spencer said this before, just how difficult the fact is that Jalen Duren's rim protection will decide this team. Outside of Cade Cunningham's leap, there will be no more important factor than Jalen Duren's rim protection. So if it was Jalen Duren, I think you would have had a very strong case. Ivy, I do agree it will be important for him to, assuming he's going to be like more of a 6-man, lead that second unit, or at least lead the non-Cade minutes, whether he starts or comes off the bench. I think that's a very important thing to look at. But ultimately, it would have been much more of a conversation to me if it was Jalen Duren.
Yeah. Joel, what would Jaden Ivey have to do for us to get in the plan? Like, obviously, you said play at a high level off the bench, but give me some numbers. Like a points per game.
I was gonna say I won't put a number on him. I was gonna more so put a play style, or not even a play style, but just a production factor. So like, if Ivy can come off the bench and be able to just be another variation. I'm trying to think of like a good player comp for him. I can't think of a player comp right now, but if he's able to just come off the bench and be a good reserve to K, so he's able to still facilitate, but he still be able to stretch the floor. So maybe up his 3-point percentage, maybe up his off the dribble, being able to shoot, not just being so reliant on driving to the rim, and being able to, and also using that ability to drive to the rim to be able to drive and kick and facilitate more people off the bench. So it's basically like if he can have the second unit humming the same way, I guess at a production level where you're not dropping off from K and then you feel and see the drop off between him and K. As long as he can like keep it right there, I feel that we could definitely be like right there as a team that compete for a play-in spot.